Well, hello again. It is speed paint time, but traditional this time because it's been quite a while since I done a traditional speed paint, and I felt like it was about time to do one, or rather, I was just feeling. I was just wanting to do a traditional speed paint because it's been quite a while since I made a proper traditional illustration other than just sketching and drawing in my sketchbook, which just not really, I wouldn't call any of that finished illustrations really. So this was quite a change of I'm having a really hard time for some reason to form proper sentences, so you just excuse me for my bad wording as always. But yeah, here I'm just using my whatever you call it, like my device that lights up the sketch from underneath to the top layer, to the top piece of paper, so I can see the sketch and then trace it. I think it's called a light board, maybe, I have no idea. I'm not very good with, or rather my vocabulary isn't that great, so do forgive me for using the wrong words sometimes for certain things. Yeah, I had a hard time making the camera that I was using on the camera that I was using to properly focus, to have proper focus on the piece, on what I was doing. Like all the time, you can see how it gets a bit blurry and then it clears up and it gets blurry again. It was a constant battle until I finally figured out how to make it stay sort of clear, to make the focus stay sort of good and not go back and forth between unfocus and focus, and yeah, that whole thing. But yeah, I don't usually like to, especially when I do traditional. I think the last traditional speed paint that I did was in one of my sketchbooks, which was of my character Cadmus. I think I recorded me inking it or lining it or whatever, whichever term is correct for this, what I'm doing right here. But yeah, usually I don't really like the idea of filming myself doing this part of the process, doing this part of the illustration, because it's quite hard to not get not spin it around too much, although I did twist it here and there to be able to properly ink it. And yeah, I do apologize if that's a bit annoying, but I had no other choice, because if I didn't do that, it was, some of the lines were gonna be really uneven. I might say very uneven. I already messed some of the lines up, I remember, especially later on top of his hat. I made the line a bit too thick, which does happen. can't really undo like traditional art, so it just had to stay, or you just have to mentally block it out and just continue forward, like go on, because you can't do much about it. And yeah. And all those little I almost regret, well, I do regret overdoing the whole grass situation. I made it too thick and too detailed. I drew way too many strands of grass, because in the sketch there were way less like visible strands of grass than I made it look like, than what I inked, I mean. So yeah, that was a mistake. Excuse for that sudden light change. I don't know really what happened there, because I can't really remember. But yes, you saw that. So as you could see, I removed the top layer from the sketch underneath, so I could spin around properly, so I wouldn't get so the cord that was connected to the light board wouldn't snag on things and get in the way. So that was why, and it was easier just to line it like that, or make the thicker lines, the outline of him, the center, the central focus of this illustration, the monster, the weird dude, the weird monster dude, I can't speak, which is holding, well, a skull with mushrooms growing out of certain parts of it, the eye socket and the nose, and it has a bit of a mushroom hair too. Yeah. And I had a quite hard of a time to figure out how I was gonna color this thing, this illustration. I have a tendency to like take out too many markers and then kind of use too many colors and then just overdo the whole color thing. But I think it turned out alright. You will see later, obviously, how it looks like, or in the thumbnail, obviously. Yeah, I made the grass way too bright because I didn't really have a good mid-tone green color, so I took the way too bright of a green. And I thought at first it was sort of fine looking, but as I went on coloring the rest of the piece, I realized that it was way too bright, and it didn't really work. I did not like it. And yeah, his clothes are they're gonna be quite colorful. The only thing that's not too colorful on him is gonna be his pants and I guess his shoes, but his shoes got a bit too colorful too, but in a more muted way. But I'm not too pleased how I actually colored the shoes because I did it in a no way. I begin with black as with the shadows, which was a big mistake because it made the shoes look way smaller than what they actually are, and it made all the details like disappear. My plan was to have the darkest spots black, and then have a more purplish color where the lighter areas were gonna be. And yeah, it looked horrible. It looked terrible. So I had to sort of fix it somehow. Well, you will see how I managed to make them look semi-okay, but they still look quite bad. But it's kind of hard to undo what you've done with Marcus. There's no forgiveness. Unlike digital art, there's no undo button. There's only trying to cover up your mistakes by with some sort of methods, either with lifting the colors a bit with a colorless blender, which isn't the best tool to blend Marcus with, because it actually lifts the colors. It removes, like, it sucks up the colors from the paper. Then sure, it does blend the colors together, but it also removes a bit of the vibrancy that the colors have. So yeah, I kind of refrain from using that to blend the colors together, and just use the same marker to then go over again to blend them together a bit. Like the lighter color of to blend into the darker color, like the shadow on the pants. Like a very dark gray and as you can see, black, and I blended those together with the same dark gray. And I had a bit of a struggle figuring out how the shadows were gonna look like, or how they were situated, or how they were gonna be placed, as I was thinking of the light source coming down on him. So I've never been really good with figuring out where to put shadows and excuse me, and yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, back to the grass again, shading in a little bit more with that darker green. Yeah, as I said before, I had a hard time figuring out how to do the grass. Or I think I said that at least. Well, yeah, I did have a bit of a struggle with it. But I'm quite pleasantly, like, I am quite happy with how the illustration turned out to look like, how it turned out. I don't hate it, and I don't hate it, but I also don't super like it. Can you say that? Sounds a bit weird. It's not my favorite piece, and it's not my least favorite piece, as just to put it as like that, just to put it like that. My goddamn speech is all over the place. Yeah, coloring the weird tree mushrooms, fungi, I don't know what to call them. Can you call those mushrooms? I don't actually know what the proper name for those are. I have no idea. Yeah, just trying to finish it off, filling some areas that I missed here and there, and just making it a little more finished looking, as I already mentioned. Sort of. Yeah, well, like I said, his colors were gonna be quite colorful, as you can see. Well, very magenta-ish looking shirt with the orange vest. How do you pronounce that? Vest. Well, the thing that what he's wearing. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, you can clearly tell what it is from looking at it. Well, I don't have anything more to say, I don't think, and I'm sorry if I blabbered too much and lost my train of thought. It tends to happen. It can happen to us all. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and extra thanks for those of you who made it all the way to the end and managed to sit through me being my awkwardness, as I usually say that I am, which, to be fair, I am awkward. Well, bye.